Hi guys, so today I want to work with this magazine I recently picked up from Craft Stash. It's the Memory Box. I don't know, it says Craft Essentials Series 126. Either way, I have it linked in the description box there to Craft Stash, and that would be an affiliate link, which means I'll make a small commission if you're purchasing those links. I have an idea of how I want to use this. I just want to see something real quick. I see a lot of times, you know, these little dies that maybe you're not sure what to do with it. Like this one has like a little puff attached to the flower in this, and you know, maybe you want to just cut that off and make it just the flower with the sprig, or cut each piece and make it its own thing. And here it cuts out this little piece. You know, there's just different ways to use this, and I kind of would prefer to leave that as just a background kind of thing. But I want to see if I was to stamp "If Friends Were Flowers, I'd Pick You," and it fits, and it does. So that's nice. Okay. Trying to think about what I want to do. So what I was thinking about doing is using some of the papers that are in here, and then what I've seen is, again, back to this little die, is like just taking the die and putting it on your paper a ton of times. And usually I see it like white on white, something like that, but when I was thumbing through this, I really like this paper, this blue one. I thought it was kind of sweet. And then I thought, well, we can do that with a whole bunch of these and just put them on there, cut it down so it's like pattern paper. But then how am I going to stamp the words? But I thought, well, this whole piece actually cuts out, so I could still paper piece whatever punches out of here, you know, back in with our sentiment or with the wording, and then have this a different color, obviously. Let's see how that works out. My only concern is that this also has like little, oh, actually this will be a solid piece because it's just an embossing. Oh, this might work out better than I thought. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to take this out. Again, you can take the whole paper out, you know, take it out from the center. I'm going to tear it this time, because sometimes I do one way, sometimes I do it the other. I'm still going to make like an A2 size card, I think, so I'm going to trim this down a little bit bigger than I would like, but I want to trim it straight, because if I just start sticking things down and then cut it, it's just not going to be the same. So maybe I'll still cut this at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Actually, let's do the 5 1/2 first. That way I can still use this paper for something else if I decide. And we need to cut it from the straight side. So 5 1/2. And I'll still do 4 1/4 this way. And then after I stick down everything, I'll still trim it off and it'll look really nice. So we have this. I'll grab a A2 size card base, which again is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. Scored at 4 1/4. So we have an A2. We have this piece, and you can do this with literally any die, but again, I'm going to trim this down to fit in here, you know how I like with a little matte layer. I'm not going to worry about this quite yet. What I'm going to do with this one is just cut out a ton of these out of white paper. And, you know, the whole thing before is like white on white, but look at this little pearlescent, so I'm going to do that. I'm just going to roll this through. I don't know how many times, it's just as many will fit on here. See what we need for our paper. Because the whole thing would be to cut this out. Oh, it's really cute. And then just glue them down, and then when we're done, we'll trim it down, and it'll look like part of the pattern of the paper, even though it's actually paper, die-cut pieces, right? So I'm going to cut out tons of these, and I'll be back. Like I said, I'll just cut out as many as fit on this piece of paper, and let's see, it's like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, or 12, something like that. So I'll check on those in just a minute. We're not going to use them quite yet, because I want to get this cut out so I have an idea of where I might want to place these. That way, if I do place this on here and I just want to stamp through it, that's kind of what I originally was planning. But also, if that doesn't work out for us, we can always piece like that piece, that negative piece, you know, from another paper, splice it in, and put our little message there. I have this water spray. I thought this might look really pretty. Sorry. Here, let me see. And I think this paper's kind of thick. If I pass the marquee, it probably will give me my little marks that's on here. I don't know. We'll try it, and if it doesn't, then I'll just do it again, or do it again with a piece of foam. So with the marquee, whenever I want embossing, I like to run it back through with a piece of foam, or another piece of paper now. Like right now, I can put like a scrap piece of paper, and that'll also give us some extra heft. But actually, I'll put it on top. Just giving you a little bit more pressure, right, because of that paper being there. With the foam, I put it underneath. So if I was going to use craft foam, like kid foam, I would put the foam, my paper, and then the die. This time I think I'm just going to put this on top just to have the pressure of an extra piece of paper in here. And I'll just run this through and see how that looks. Or again, just use another machine, but I'm using this one today because we have little dies. Going a little bit slow, see how that goes. pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Look at the little dots. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna take out the pieces. So this is the piece I was saying if I wanted to remove this. Oh my, this is, it's very fine. So if let's say I ran this through white paper, and this piece that I'm removing here, maybe I would stamp my, I would take it out like this and stamp my sentiment on that and then piece it back into this Sprite color, you know what I'm saying? But I'm thinking I can stamp right on the paper, I don't know. So then we have these other pieces. Do we want to leave them in or pop them out, right? These little guys. I'm going to go ahead and pop them out. Even inside the flower there's a piece to pop out, but I'm going to leave that one there because I don't want that out. Because I want that to be part of the design. Unless I want to cut another piece of paper and splice that in, and I really don't. So again, you can leave all those little pieces in, just make sure you're putting glue down so that they don't fall out later. Is this one... Oh, this is so hard to... Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like this actually comes out too, does it? Wow. You know, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'm going to leave it alone. Because on this backside, it looks like it's cut through. But somehow it's so delicate. That's actually really, really cool. But I'm going to leave it there. Actually, I guess the way we could tell is if we look at the images about it. It looks like it stays. I don't know. Look. Right? Okay. Just another detail. Alright, so this is kind of what I was trying to say is I bring this stuff over. The whole thing is to glue these on here in a way that's just fun, and when you trim it down it just looks like it's part of the pattern. But also if I want to have this here and just stamp my sentiment, just have it really simple, you know. Actually, I'm going to take this off of here so I can see. Because sentiment's kind of like this way. If friends were flowers, I'd pick you. And I would actually stamp it after I'm done. I know that's dangerous, but we're going to use the stamping press. Yeah, why not? So, a couple things. Let's put this up a little bit higher. I can either cut, you know, put that there and then put these pieces behind here, or only lay these pieces around and behind, which is kind of weird, right? The whole point is it to be like eclectic. So I feel like I do want to get in here. I just don't know what color I would piece in there, because then we have to piece it like in here too and all these other pieces, and I'm not going to do that. So I think we're just going to possibly go ahead and adhere this, but not completely. I hope that makes a little sense there. Hold on. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I'm just trying to figure out a way to not... What I'm going to do is a pencil line. And then I'll go a little bit further in for my pencil line. I hope that makes sense. So if I have it up here, again, if friends were flowers, I'd pick you. That looks good right there. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to draw this pencil line really lightly so that I can see it. And we don't have to do a lot of erasing later. And now when I place these, I'm going to place them just inside that pencil line. You know what I'm saying? Not too far in. And that way it's not bothering anything, but it will be part of the design. Let me get... So earlier, depends on when you watch this video, I was making a video on the little... Sorry, I couldn't remember the name of the thing. It was the Simply Made luggage set. And I... lost the lid of my piece here. So let's say we had this one here. Now I'm putting it off the edge a little bit. Again, we're going to cut this down 1/4 inch all around, you know what I'm saying, an 1/8 of an inch other side. But I'm placing it right a little bit inside that pencil mark. That way I know not to go too far in. That's all that I wanted from that. And like, let's say this is here. And maybe that's a little too staged. But that's all I'm going to do is just go around and put my little pieces, making sure some of it goes off the paper. And the reason I'm putting it, dabbing on my hand is because I don't know, like this, and some of that's going to get cut off, right? Just make it really eclectic and fun. And that's kind of why I start off with my paper larger. I mean, if you want to know already with the size of your paper and have it cut down, then go for it. I'm just putting things here and there. So I'm going to fill in that whole space around that circle area. And hopefully that'll work out for us. I'm looking, I maybe should have put something there, but well, I didn't. Alright. And then again, you can trim these down. I just am keeping them the way they are. And the reason I'm turning them and doing it like that looks a lot like that one is just for that. There we go. This one really stuck down. Yeah, it's already done. Okay, I'm gonna keep going and just filling in all these different areas, okay? And I'll be right back. One left over. I don't care for this big space here, and this one I had kind of sticking out there, so what I'm gonna do is actually just take this. We're gonna trim this down anyway, so I'm gonna take this little piece and have him like coming out from that circle, just to kind of fill in a little bit of that space there. Yay! Okay, I'm gonna let this set up for a little bit, because if I go to cut this and it's wet glue, you might end up pulling it, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Is when you go to cut something, sometimes it just does that. Or like even this little piece that's hanging out here, I can probably place here. Let's see. Because we're going to cut that off anyway. So let me see. That'll work for me. Or is that too much in this area? It'll be okay. It's going to be a tiny little... Look at... Okay. Alright, I'm going to let this set up, dry a little more. And actually, in the meantime, I guess that means we can also just go ahead and stick this down. Again, I don't really know where this is going to stamp. If friends were flowers, I'd pick you. I like the way it looks there. So again, it's kind of straight, you know, the way the wording is, so it has to kind of fit in here. So let's do that. Let's put this back where supposedly it belongs. If you want to erase your little pencil lines, you know, go for it. They're not super visible. I did it really, really lightly. And I'm going to place a ton of glue. And what I mean by that, it's very thin, because again, we don't want to warp our little metallic paper, but I'm going to dab some of it off. So very thin everywhere, so this thing stays down, especially in this piece that can pop out if we wanted it to. So let's do that. And then I'm going to take off the excess. Remember, I'm going to lay this down right in that circle that we had made ourselves. Kind of like in here. Very good. I'm going to hold that down. Okay, I'll be right back. Did I leave this here with some weight on it? I sure did. And go do something else in the meantime. Okay. So to get this starting to cut it down, we need some sides that are going to be pretty flat already, just so you don't have, you know, wonky numbers. So I'm just going to cut that off, and then on this side it looks like maybe I can go from here. I'm just trimming off those little excess pieces. Now you can just do that all around and then lay this on here, but I want it, you know how I like matte layerings. Where is my guillotine? I literally just put it to the side and I already forgot. Okay, so since this side's flat, I'm only going to take like an eighth. Ooh, you know I like eighths, but I'm going to go ahead and take off a full 1/8 of an inch. Actually, a little bit more on this one. Because you know how I leveled this, I don't want to take off too much because then it's going to be really close to the top. So I'm going to take most of it off of this side. Okay, so I'm almost at the 5 1/4. When I come around, I'll get there. And then on this side, I'm just going to take off, I left it centered, so that's fine. I'm going to take off an 1/8 from this side. And so when I'm done, I'm going to end up at 4 inches there. And now we're back to the side that should be, oh, actually, let's go ahead and trim that off. I thought I only needed a couple sides to start off with, but you know what? We need pretty much all of them. Now here, I'm going to pay attention to be 5 1/4, which means I'm just taking the smallest amount off that top part, because that's how I planned that. And then 4 inches on this side, and hopefully that's nice and even. And so that way it makes it look like the pattern that we put in here is really like a part of the paper. You know what I'm saying? The way we kind of play with that. And I could have stamped that already, but I really wanted that top piece to be on there before we went into do the stamping. And I'll bring this guy over. And I'm going to really make sure this is down with as many magnets as I can. And even a piece of tape. This tape has been here and I just keep using it. Okay. And if friends were flowers, I'd pick you. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, honestly, maybe I should do thank you. You know, I planned this whole thing around like this wording, but well, let's just go with that one. But I am mostly sending thank you cards than anything else. Okay. And let me see if that's nice and straight. That looks pretty straight to me. Maybe I'll bring it down just a little bit this way. A little too much. Maybe a little bit more up this way. I'm just looking at this grid line and seeing like where that is to where this is. And that's not too bad. Okay. And VersaFine ink, because I love VersaFine for my sentiments. It just does it so well. Okay. Juicy, it's wonderful. This is an acrylic stamp, and you know, I just want to put firm, even pressure wherever my little helper is. I don't know, so I'm going to use my palm here. Aww. I think I'm good. I don't want to do much more than that. Okay, so we have that. Let me clean off my little stamp. And again, when I do that, sometimes I use stamp cleaner. It just depends, because I got that one from Tonic. So for now, I'm just wiping it down. This little guy, every few days, I wet it. This is the Tonic. It's basically a sham kind of thing, a chamois, or what it's called, like that kind of thing. But you want to keep it moist, and also you don't want to attract any kind of problem. So I just rinse it out every few days, give it a good squeeze, and put it back in my little bag. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, guys, and that is basically it. What's up with this card base? Has a little something on there. Little schmutz. There we go. So I'm just going to put this on here. And again, this is kind of like that newsprint paper, so sometimes I prefer to just use a sticky, double-sided kind of tape. But I already pulled this out, so I'm just going to use my glue, because I need to finish up that glue since I lost the lid. So here we go. Again, a lot bigger edging than I normally do on my cards. You see that? But I think it looks really nice. And if you still want to pop another edge behind there, you know, go for it. I'm just going to keep it kind of simple. And there's our card, guys. So just another fun way to use like these little dies. And you guys know we have them. We have them, all right, of all kinds of different things. Just flowers or little leaves, you know, all these different things. And just do something like that. Make it kind of fun and wonky, so when you cut it down, it looks like that everything was purposeful. And there it is. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I will have links as appropriate, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye now.